What is going on, YouTube? Welcome back to episode 2 of the off-season files. So, week 2 of the mini cut. We are down 2 kilos already. Your boy is getting lean and skinny again. Not really, I've just dropped 2 kilos of probably food volume and water weight, so it's nothing crazy. But I'm going to take today and go through my meals at the moment, what I'm eating currently, what everything looks like in terms of food, meal timing, all the good stuff, and just run through that, because I think in terms of, as I said on the last video, like I felt as though the videos I was making weren't authentic and they were just like more viral trends, and I was just trying to make them really viral, and yeah, that wasn't something I enjoyed doing. Where now I feel as though these videos where I'm just merely documenting what I'm doing is going to be a lot more entertaining for myself and a lot more aligned with what it is that I want to do. So yeah, we'll take you through. Meal number 1 is going to be, which you've sort of already seen, is going to be oats with chocolate, protein, banana, honey, and then some water as well, which is not really part of the meal, but yeah, and I'll take my morning supplements. So we'll get into it. So at the moment, the way I make oats, which is the only way I've ever made oats, which I will give credit to, my girlfriend showed me how to make oats.
I was going to say, you better give me credit, boy.
So I just do 40 grams of dry oats, and then I will throw some water in there, put it in the microwave for about a minute, let it sit, then throw the protein in, mix it together, and then I might put it in the microwave one more time. This is the part where I go rogue and my girlfriend's like, why are you doing that? But in my opinion, mine oats end up better. So once you put them in the microwave, you'll see like they're kind of this really dry, moist texture. I will just chuck the protein powder on. Now usually I'm not doing 2 scoops of protein. It's only because like since the mini cut, I've upped the protein. Obviously, you know, when you're dieting, you have a little bit or a lot more protein. Usually I'm only doing 1 scoop, but for the time being we go 2. And then obviously I add in my creatine every single day, which I don't think I've not had creatine in like probably a couple of years now. Literally have that every single day. I do about a heaped scoop because like they say 5 grams, but you know, the heavier you get, you kind of want to go more. Then this is the most important part. You need to be patient with your stirring, because everyone will get to this point and say, oh, it's really dry, but you just got to stick with it and it will eventually mix. So that's what you end up with there. Again, I've added no extra water. It's exactly what I just did to essentially keep mixing. You just gotta be patient with it and it will eventually start to mix together. With the protein powder, the one that I use actually mixes quite well. I use the Protein Matrix from Bulk Nutrients, which is an Australian brand, which is this one here. Protein Matrix. I use vanilla maple for my oats. I use lemon meringue pie, which is really, really good actually, for my Ninja Creamy, and then sometimes we'll throw them in chocolate. But actually not the biggest fan of chocolate, and Kayla's not either, so we don't use it that much, but sometimes we use it, or I use it. So next I put on just a block of chocolate, which is like the Aldi chocolate, because I usually used to use the Lindt chocolate from Woolworths, but it's for like 10 squares, it's $8.50 for a pack. So I'm paying almost $10 for $1 a square for low calorie Lindt chocolate. So we get the knockoff version. Okay, now that that's like that, I'll put that in the microwave for like 30 seconds. Oats will thicken up a little bit and dry out just a touch, but it's okay. If you want, you can always add a little bit more water, but this is just so the chocolate melts a little bit more on top of the oats. And then while I do that, I'll cut up the banana. Okay, so I've just whisked up my eggs. I'm gonna chuck that on the pan, let that cook for a little bit, and then I'm gonna add on the seasonings. Yeah, so this is just a very easy meal to throw together. I'm not like I try not to like cook too much throughout the week, because like I like to just have my meal and be able to eat it when I want. But this is probably the only meal at the moment, other than like my potatoes for dinner, which you'll see later, is that I'm actually like putting effort in behind and actually cooking. Like the oats is 2 minutes and everything else is just basically chucking a bowl in the microwave because I've meal prepped it. And again, the meal prep is obviously a very important part of any sort of goal, and that's just something that I do very frequently because I don't want to have to worry about cooking meals throughout the week, especially even though like I have the luxury of being an online coach and not being tied to like places that I need to go and stuff like that. I still want to have the ability to not have to, if things are busy, not have to cook a meal on the day. But this is the one meal I'm willing to cook because it's just fucking eggs. So sitting down for meal number 2, I've got omelette with some spices, some barbecue sauce, and some crumpets underneath. Kayla thinks it's absolutely diabolical that I have my omelette with my crumpets, but to me it's just carbohydrates and it still tastes okay. It's not the end of the world. But if you think that it is a terrible combination, please do inform me on that decision. But in terms of calorie and macro breakdown, so we've got 3 eggs, quite a bit of fats in this one, so 16 grams of fats, almost 17, but 24 grams of protein and 35 grams of carbs with 396 calories. So definitely one of my lower calorie meals, but that's okay because the meal 1 was pretty calorie dense anyway, and then we've got still a few more meals to go. So roughly at the moment, most of my meals are averaging anywhere between 3 to 650 is probably the highest amount of calories. Going for more volume when I'm dieting at the moment, you know, trying to make the meals look a little bit bigger, but at the same time, like, we don't want to do that too much. I find that, especially a trap that I have fallen into in the past, is I'll like really opt for these high volume meals. Your stomach kind of gets used to it as well. You kind of want, when you're dieting, your stomach to shrink a little bit and go and get smaller so that you don't need to have this massive amount of voluminous amount of food when you are dieting, because at some point, especially if you're doing a longer diet, not like myself, there is going to be less food and there is going to be a much harder opportunity to make everything so voluminous. So you could be shooting yourself in the foot a little bit if you are doing that. So I think you got to find this like perfect balance of higher volume foods in there, but then also just accepting the fact that you're eating less food and stop trying to trick yourself all the time that you're going to be, you know, eating more, but you know, it's less calories whatsoever. So sometimes you just got to eat less food and be okay with a smaller meal, but it's for the goal. And that's something that I've done a lot. And I've had to have those conversations with myself at some point too, especially when I was doing my prep. But for the time being, for this short amount of time, it's totally fine. All right, we're back for meal 3, which is the fucking good old trusty ancient times chicken and rice. But not just your ordinary chicken and rice, the good chicken and rice that I make. So this meal is actually probably my favorite meal of the day. Everyone thinks chicken and rice is boring. It doesn't need to be. I literally just put it in an air fryer the way I cook it. I boil the rice or put it in the rice cooker and I just put really good seasonings on it. Probably just a meal that I would probably eat forever because I just genuinely enjoy it. I like the chicken, I like the rice. Who doesn't fucking like rice? Put some tomato sauce, which the pickled tomato sauce is absolutely cracker, which I will show you. And this is a meal that I can just consistently eat whether I'm building or whether I'm dieting. And the only thing that really changes when I am doing building or dieting is the amount of it. So usually the chicken stays the same, but the rice will decrease, obviously because less carbs, less calories. But other than that, the meal stays the exact same. Okay, so I usually cook everything in bulk as mentioned previously. And I have my notes section where I literally just like write down all my food, total amounts of it when it's cooked. So for example, I do 7 days worth of chicken. You know, some people might hear that and say, that's unsanitary. Well, I haven't died yet and I haven't gotten food poisoning yet, so suck me off. So I do 200 grams of raw chicken breast and it was 1400 grams or 1.4 kilos total. So I cooked that, divided by 7, and that was 200 grams per day. Then I'll basically weigh it cooked and then just divide it by 7. So for this, it's 174 grams of chicken. So I just weigh that out. Again, it's already cooked, so I don't have to worry about too much preparation. And this is pretty like accurate. There's been very rare times where I've miscalculated this. You know, people say, oh, you know, what if you go over? What if you go under? It's like, if you're scheduled for 200 grams of raw chicken breast across 7 days, and some days you have a little bit more, you have a little bit less, it doesn't really matter too much because over the course of the 7 days, you're getting the same amount of food intake in, and same goes for the rice as well. So, you know, some people might question the accuracy of it, it, but I guess if you're literally tracking it across every single day, then it's totally fine. And it's not really going to matter because you're going to get the same amount of food in. So I'll just microwave that. I'll usually put some vegetables in there as well, but we've got none left. We need to go shopping. So I'm just going to add salt and the ketchup sauce. So if you don't have this sauce, highly recommend getting ketchup, pickle sauce. It literally smells and tastes like McDonald's meal. So if you don't have it, definitely grab it. It only has 87 kilojoules, 80 kilojoules per serving. I don't know what that is in calories, do the math, but phenomenal. Okay, so sitting down for meal number 3, it does look a little bit sad, I'm not gonna lie, just because I don't have any more vegetables, so it just looks very boring. But usually I put either some coleslaw or spinach because, again, putting a big emphasis on that potassium at the moment. This meal comes to, let me just double check, comes to 486 calories. That's including the sauce as well. 36 grams of protein, 4 grams of fat, and 71 grams of carbs. So much lower on the fats for this meal, obviously, because it's just chicken and rice, so protein and carbs. Now, is there any reason for that? Not necessarily. Like, I'll usually have this meal towards later in the day, so around this time, on a training day as well. You could argue that it's a great post-workout meal because of the density of the protein and the carbs, but I usually have the eggs post-workout, and that's just because I've just switched that up recently. This is a great meal anyway. It fills me up the most as well. I personally feel fuller when I'm eating more dense foods like proteins, whereas like with the eggs, it didn't really fill me up as much. So I definitely started feeling that hunger a little bit quicker than normal, but again, part of that process and part of what comes with diet. I'm gonna get that in, and then I'll see you guys for meal number 4. All right, so just sat down and finished off meal number 4. Meal number 4, I think. Yeah. I completely forgot because I have obviously dinner with my beautiful girlfriend. I kind of forget after like I was filming because there was quite a bit of time between meals, and I usually just try and spend time with Kayla when it comes to dinner. But nonetheless, I will put a picture of the meal because I have a picture of the meal from earlier in the week. And I'll break down to you exactly how I prepared it and then what the macros and calories are as well. So in terms of preparation, I cooked all the meat on Monday. I just bought like a kilo of oyster blade steak, and then I just made the potatoes on the day, and then I put some avocado with some spinach and I don't put any sauce. So the total calories is 653 calories, 53 grams of protein, 17 grams of fat, and 58 grams of carbs. Now this meal is probably one of my favorite ones as well. Like I say the 2 favorite meals are the ones with chicken and rice and the ones with steak and potatoes, who would have thought? But they're probably like my most dense meals for the day as well. I mean, the OCs too, but it's not as big because it's a bit more calorie dense. But in terms of size of meals, these last 2 are the biggest ones. So I've only been eating this for about a week. I'm usually someone who's a creature of habit when it comes to my meals. But I tried something out last week and it just didn't hit the way I wanted to. I tried like an Asian sort of style food and it didn't hit the way I wanted it to, especially the preparation and all that. But this is something that I'm going to stick to probably throughout the mini cut, and who knows, probably even when I stop mini cutting, I might just switch it out for maybe rice. I don't mind eating rice twice in a day, or I'll just go back to mince and pasta because that's extremely easy. So in terms of changes from when I'm bulking to when I'm dieting, I definitely will result to more like Spud Light, low carb potatoes when I'm dieting versus when I am not dieting. I will definitely try and lean into more rice and pasta because of the density of the food. And it's not as big because the bigger meals you're having when you're trying to build, it's just not going to be the most beneficial for your digestion. You're just going to feel bloated all the time. But for me, I definitely...
Sorry.
But for me, I definitely lean into the potatoes while I'm dieting. The whole thing with the high volume foods, you don't want to lean too much into it. It's just, I think potatoes are still pretty easy to digest with the higher volumes as well. But we will see you for the Ninja Creamy very, very soon.
Woo!
Which is the dessert of every single night. All right. Final meal of the day. You know the drill. Ninja Creamy. So the current mix for the Ninja Creamy is obviously we prepare these ahead of time because you need to, otherwise you can't make a Ninja Creamy, unfortunately. 150 mils of almond milk, 20 grams of protein powder. We use the lemon meringue pie for this one, which actually is really, really good. It tastes very sweet, almost like a splice, as Kayla would say. And then we use 160 grams of protein yogurt, just the YoPro one. We put this for a spin. We use the light ice cream one. Then we just scrape the sides so it doesn't get stuck to the side of the container. Then we will add a little bit of water, like literally just like a spray, and then do a respin, and then we'll add our toppings or our mix-ins. I do chocolate, Kayla does Biscoff, or the knockoff Biscoff. So we're gonna do that, and then I'll sit down and break down the macro and calories for it as well. Alright, so for spin one is done. You just scrape the sides of the containers like this. So we just do this, kind of gets all the ice cream, all the ingredients like out of the side. So then when you remix it, it will all get collected and will all mix in nice and thoroughly.
Remix.
A little bit of water, just like that. And then we do a respin. But before I do a respin, I need to put the other one in for the light spin. And then we'll do the same and respin and then mix in the ingredients. All right, so second one's done. We'll put that first one that we put a bit of water in, scraped, put that back in and go for the respin. All right, mission success. That's what it looks like.
Mission complete.
Tastes good too. The lemon meringue pie is definitely probably a big game changer in your Ninja Creamy. Okay, so final meal of the day, breaking it down. In terms of calories and macros,
Break it down now.
we have 330 calories. It is 33 grams of protein because of the YoPro plus the protein powder. 11 grams of fat and then 21 grams of carbs. Now, most of the carbs and the fat is probably coming from the yogurt, the almond milk, as well as the chocolate as well. So definitely one of the lower, I think it's the lowest calorie meal that I have all day, but definitely very filling. And it's good when you're dieting just because like, will help you with that sweet tooth if you are someone who has one, which we definitely do. And it's just like a good like sort of meal that we can share together as well, that we both enjoy. But that's a full day of eating for myself in this mini cut for the time being. Obviously that's going to change once the mini cut is finished and we start pushing size again. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you do, please like the video, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel, follow the off-season files, and I'll see you at 110 kilos in the next video.